Hi, Joe. You're there at the Texas Capitol covering the Ken Paxton impeachment trial. How did it go today?
Hi, Rachel. Yeah, today was a very eventful day one for the impeachment trial. So we've been covering this for months now leading up to it because Austin real estate investor Nate Paul is sort of at the center of a lot of these allegations against the Texas Attorney General. So it is really a real estate story at the end of the day. And um, today was sort of the first salvo in what I'm sure will be a long, drawn out impeachment process. But it was the first chance we've had to really hear a full-throated defense from Ken Paxton's team, fighting back against some of these allegations of an improper relationship with Nate Paul. And we also started to get a sense of just how big this has become. There were a lot of people here who seemed to almost care less about Ken Paxton in particular and more about what this case means as a larger political fight. There were a lot of people wearing Trump gear. There was a lot of rhino hunting season T-shirts from activists that's Republicans in name only. So people are accusing, some of the Republicans who voted for this impeachment of turning their back on the party. And yeah, it was a big day.
Yeah. And so was Nate Paul there today?
Nate was not here today. There was some speculation that he'd be one of the first witnesses called, which makes a lot of sense because, like I said, he's wrapped up in a lot of these charges. He was named in 6 of the charges of impeachment read today against Ken Paxton and alluded to in several more. So I'm sure that both sides have a lot of questions for him. But a source tells me that he was not subpoenaed. And Nate has been known to be very combative in his lawsuits. So I imagine that if they want him here, they'll have to compel him to be here. But that being said, we can't know for sure. Both sides are under really strict privacy laws in terms of they've both been under gag orders. They can't really speak to the press about what's happening, and the witness lists are confidential. So it is a little bit of a guessing game at this point.
Okay, so we may not know from day to day who is expected to testify until they
That's right.
show up.
That's right. Yeah. So today we had the whistleblowers from Ken Paxton's office who first alerted authorities to what they saw as an improper relationship between Attorney General Paxton and Nate Paul. They felt that Paxton was abusing the powers of his office to help Nate hang on to some properties that were going into foreclosure and to target the FBI agents who carried out the raids on his home and offices in 2019.
Mm-hmm. And how else is Nate Paul connected to this case? I know there's something to do with helping him get out of foreclosures, but was there anything else involving him in this case?
Yes. So one of the stranger pieces of this impeachment was this tale about an Uber account under the name Dave P. And so according to the impeachment prosecutors, Nate Paul set up an Uber account with that name so that Ken Paxton could covertly visit him and visit his alleged mistress and generally get around undetected. They even poll Uber records, and you can see dozens of trips that start a block from Paxton's house and end up either at his alleged mistress's apartment or at Nate Paul's house. So I will say that one of Paxton's attorneys, Tony Busby, did say that those Uber allegations are a total sham and that they never happened. And so, just to be fair, it's not proven yet. It's still in trial. But yeah, Nate is wrapped up in almost every aspect of this. There was a lawsuit that he was involved in with a nonprofit that was an investor in one of his projects and wanted financial records that he refused to disclose. There was a long, drawn-out lawsuit, and the Attorney General's office intervened in the case to a sort of extraordinary degree. It doesn't normally get that involved in these cases. So, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, it seems like some of the things part of this case is that he was trying to hide an alleged affair from his wife and the public at large. And his wife is actually in the chamber, right?
That's correct. Yeah. So Senator Angela Paxton was in the chamber today. She was wearing a bright red. Everyone else was sort of wearing muted colors, darker clothes. But I think she must have known that a lot of attention would be on her, and it was today. The alleged affair came up several times, and the alleged mistress was named. So she's, well aware of this, and was taking notes the entire day, really paying attention to who was voting which way. And she was seen, hugging Ken Paxton before the trial began. What else was I going to say? Was there anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay. Cool.
Was there anything surprising today, or anything that you learned that, what was it that came out in today's proceedings?
I would say the biggest thing that we learned today was the extent to which the Paxton team denied all of the allegations. In the past, they've tried to get some of these charges dismissed by saying that, oh, they occurred before the last election, so the public knew about them, and therefore they shouldn't be, even considered in this impeachment case. But today, Tony Buzbee really got up there and gave a full-throated denial of everything from the Uber charges to the idea that Nate Paul had paid for renovations to Ken and Angela Paxton's home in Austin, and even got a little feisty at times when the Secretary of the Senate was reading off all of the impeachment charges. He didn't just say that Paxton pleaded guilty. He said, everything that was just said is false. Ken Paxton's totally innocent, therefore he pleads not guilty. So it was the deepest defense of against all of these allegations that we've heard so far.
Okay, well, this has got to be the biggest political story in Texas and possibly the nation right now, and it's also a real estate story. So I guess we'll see you back there again tomorrow.
Absolutely. Talk to you then.
All right, thanks.